All I ever wanted to be was a writer. Okay, there was a time when I wanted to be a comedian, a rock star, a lawyer. What I ended up doing was mowing lawns, fixing cars, washing dishes, dealing blackjack, cooking and cooking, more cooking, so much cooking, and getting mauled by attack dogs. My dad was a dog trainer. All the while I was writing in my spare time, on break, late at night, early in the morning, whenever. There was a lot of bad poetry, a couple bad novels, a couple good novels. And then one day when I was 28, I quit a good paying job as a cook. I just couldn't take it anymore. I was a writer, damn it. And now I was out of work and desperate. I hadn't been without a job since I was 15 years old. So I called the local newspaper and asked if I could do some odd jobs around the place in exchange for them to teach me how to write journalism. A ridiculous ask, right? But the editor said to bring him a writing sample. Writing sample? What the heck is a writing sample? So I sat down and frantically wrote 3 pages of fiction pulled straight from the air. Then I threw up. Twice. I rode my bike down to the newspaper office. I was in much better shape back then. Second surprise of the day. He said I could write. He said I was good. He said he'd be willing to teach me journalism. So, every Friday at 3 p.m. for several months, I sat in the editor's office and learned something new about the news business. Pretty soon I was writing freelance articles about high school football games, new businesses, and interesting people around town. That was 2003. Fast forward to 2005 and I was a full-time reporter at that very newspaper. In 2008, I became editor when my editor and good friend advanced to a much larger news agency. During that time, I also appeared on a weekly radio program. For nearly 7 years. I was supposed to talk about the latest local headlines, but usually just ended up trying to make the host laugh. That was a lot of fun. Then, in 2010, I left my post to publish my own newspaper. Everyone said I was crazy. Everyone. But I did it. We gave folks useful information, tons of community photos, funny and hard-hitting editorials, and people loved it. Over the next decade, we continued to grow and won dozens and dozens of awards. We were in business for 11 years. Then COVID happened. Most of the businesses in our small town were forced to close during the shutdown. Our revenue dried up. After barely hanging on through the early days, we closed our doors. July 15, 2020, 4 months to the day the COVID shutdown began, we decided we couldn't continue operating at a financial loss. That was our last edition. Loss. That's exactly what it was. During the previous 17 years, I had written thousands of articles, hundreds of essays, editorials, books, blogs, radio, web scripts, magazines, shopping guides, millions of words. I designed, wrote, and edited nearly 700 newspapers in a row without missing a week, and I never once missed a deadline. Never once. I found myself starting over, again, and I had nothing to show for it, except now I was 45 and lost. Lost. I was so lost. The week after we closed for good, I spent half a day setting up the template for the next week's newspaper, even though there wouldn't be one, because I didn't know what else to do. And I cried the whole time. I had worked so hard to make our newspaper great, and now it was gone. I spent the next 6 months wandering aimlessly, driving my wife insane with my stress and self-doubt. But as heartbreaking as it was to lose the business I'd built from scratch, we had bigger things to worry about. Her elderly parents weren't doing well. COVID was still going strong. Everyone was scared. Just to keep from going mad, I turned my hobby of collecting vintage pencils into a small, very small online business. It was extremely part-time, but it brought in a little needed cash and gave me something to do. It wasn't until my 46th birthday, February 2021, that a good friend and I, being good little social distancers, got drunk over the phone and talked all night. In our commiserating over middle-aged loss, he said we should write a movie. Write a movie? Who do you think you are? A person just doesn't write a movie. You have to move to California, go to film school, be named Spielberg. I remember writing that first script with his help and thinking we were never going to finish. It felt impossible, ridiculous. It felt embarrassing trying to do something so grandiose. Who the hell did we think we were? But we kept at it, and we finished well ahead of our April Fool's Day deadline. I'm not one to celebrate finishing a writing project, never have. Maybe it's because I've been writing long enough to know that finishing a first draft is really the least of it. Celebrating a first draft to me is like expecting a gold medal for surviving the first mile of a marathon. But it felt good. Better still, I proved to myself that I could finish a screenplay. Whether it was good or not was another thing altogether. Finishing that script lit a fire under me. So I polished it, and then I wrote another, and another, and another. We placed okay in a few contests, and though my friend went on to do other things, I kept writing screenplays. A year later, an indie filmmaker found one of my scripts online and dug my style enough to hire me to write him a movie, a funny French noir adventure. We worked on that script for the better part of a year, and then he filmed it. It's currently in post-production, and the rough cut really looks cool. Then I wrote a short film for another filmmaker. That movie's currently on the festival circuit. Then I wrote a feature-length horror movie for yet another filmmaker. He's just finishing filming that one, and we have several more in the works. Over the last few years, I've made lots of new friends in the independent film industry and gotten to work on a bunch of other cool projects. Next month, we'll be shooting our first documentary about an artist in California. I turned 50 this year. It's a scary thing starting over again, but it's also pretty exciting. I love the news business, don't get me wrong, but I've never enjoyed working as much as I do now. With only 4 years in the business, I'm still brand new, but I'm learning new stuff every day, and can't wait to get to work on the next project.